Hi, this is Next Shift with Rick Wagen. Suzuki does not suck. This is the pregame show before the Montreal Canadiens play the Buffalo Sabres tonight in Buffalo. The Montreal Canadiens have won 3 games since the Four Nations tournament, and the Canadiens are 5 points back going into tonight for a wild card spot, both against the Red Wings and Columbus. The Canadiens are only a point behind a handful of teams, including Boston. Well, before this taping, Boston just beat Pittsburgh, so Boston, gained a couple more points. But there's a long jam of teams that are fighting for that wild card spot. The Montreal Canadiens definitely had a rough ending to the pre-Four Nations tournament. I believe they were 1-7-1, so 9 points in 9 games they lost. They only won 1 game going into the Four Nations tournament, which definitely hurt them. So they have 2 games against Buffalo, one tonight and one on Monday. Then they have a game against the Edmonton Oilers before the trading deadline. Then they go to Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle. A big road trip ahead of them once they get through these next 2 games, which are enormous if they want to have a chance to stay in the mix. As we've talked before, the Montreal Canadiens have 4 unrestricted free agents: Armia, Evans, Dvorak, and Savard. We pretty much know that Dvorak will not re-sign with Montreal. I think the Canadiens have enough young centermen to replace them. Although, since we last spoke, you probably all know this already, Kirby Dach went under the knife and had surgery on his right knee again. The exact surgery has not been communicated, but the communication is he's out for the season, will be ready and available for the start of next season. That's a disappointment for sure for the kid. However, I think Kirby Dach has played his way out of the 2C position, at least for the short term. I still believe that Kirby has unbelievable talent, definitely offensively. He lacks some structure on the defensive side of the puck, which he can learn. And he will ultimately play in the top 6, but probably as a winger, in my opinion. The Montreal Canadiens need to find their 2C. Tonight, the 2C is going to be Owen Beck. Owen Beck's playing on a line with Newhook and Laine. The first line of Slafkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki remains intact. And so do the other 2 lines of Gallagher, Anderson, Dvorak, as well as Heineman, who's back with Evans and Armia. In nets tonight is Jacob Dobish. I am extremely surprised. I have been following Jacob for a long time before he joined the NHL. He obviously had a great start to his NHL career with 5 wins in a row. In the last couple of games, he was shaky at best. The Montreal Canadiens are in a must-win situation tonight. I would have probably played Montembeault tonight and decided about Monday. But I think the Canadiens are worried about the fact that he has only played, 1 or 2 games in the last month, and they want to keep him at least a little bit fresh, especially if he's needed. So I understand the thought process behind it. I don't know if I agree with it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he plays an outstanding game and the Montreal Canadiens win it, but that is a concern for me. It sounds to me like the Arbor Jockeye saga, and if you guys haven't been following it, he did not play, I believe, a shift in the 3rd period last game. He definitely didn't have his A game last game, and the game before that, he had a couple of penalties that when they panned over to the bench, you can see Martin St. Louis was not happy about those penalties. He's got a shorter leash than the Mathesons of the world and others. I mean, Struble and Jack are probably in the similar leash mode at this point. And what ended up happening is they did bench him for, about 5 minutes. They were trying to get him back out there. There was some bad matchups, and ultimately the Canadiens got 2 power plays back to back. And before Martin St. Louis knew it, they were already 13 minutes into the 3rd period. Jack hadn't played for over 13 minutes. He thought better of bringing him in a 3-3 tie with 7 minutes left, having been cold with no upside. So that's what happened. He also communicated very clearly that he intends to play Arbor Jockeye a regular shift today, and I look forward to him playing a much more solid game tonight. So my prediction remains the same. It's 4-3. With the caveat that Jacob Dobish comes and plays. He doesn't have to be the superstar he was the first couple of games when he joined the Canadiens, but he needs to play a solid game, not give up any major bad goals, and just keep the team in the game like he has for many of the games that he's played. I am still a fan of not getting rid of anyone at the trade deadline, but again, these next 3 games are huge. If the Montreal Canadiens proceed to lose 3 or 2 of those games, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't trade a couple of players. I also wouldn't be shocked if they didn't do anything. Again, that would be my recommendation. The Canadiens have a ton of draft picks. They have a ton of prospects. It may be best to just bite the bullet and play with Evans and Armia through to the end of the year, see what happens. Hopefully that goodwill leads to the Montreal Canadiens signing one or both of them for reasonable contracts. Vard is another player that they can keep. He may sign in Montreal for another year for not minimum, but not much more than $1 or $1.5 million. And then Dvorak's going to go. I am, like I said, really excited to see Owen Beck play another game at the second line center. I don't know if that's where he's going to fall. I think he's a solid player. I believe, I called Jake Evans when he just came out of college. I followed him in Notre Dame. Owen Beck is better than Jake Evans in all aspects of the game, except for maybe defense, which only because Jake Evans is elite. But Owen Beck is one notch below him. Now, he's a rookie, and he's not going to play to the same level of the late 20s Jake Evans, but he's not far behind. And when we're talking in 3 to 5 years from now, you will all agree with me that Owen Beck is a closer version to a Nick Suzuki or a Deneau than he is a Jake Evans. And that's what I'm excited to see. I think he'll end up being a third-line center in Montreal, but I think the third line might have a Kirby Dach on it. We'll see where it all falls. Is it a Hage? Is it a Kapanen? Is there a guy we haven't picked yet or traded for yet that's going to be the 2C? We'll see. I'm still very excited to see Demidov join this group. Again, the Canadiens are 5 points back going into tonight. There's a ton of teams kind of between them and the wild card as well. Huge game. The next 2 games are huge. If they can win those, they'll probably get within 3 points of the wild card spot, maybe less. And that would be exciting to go into the trading deadline and the Western Canadian road trip. The Canadiens are playing some good hockey. They're serious every game. Kudos to Martin St. Louis and the team just bringing it every night and playing every game like it's a playoff game. Just a small comment about the Anaheim Ducks, who I live in Southern California. The Ducks are playing some good hockey too. They play tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. You see over my shoulder, Carter Gauthier got a couple of goals a couple of games ago, another beautiful goal last game. The Ducks are winning some good hockey games. They're playing some solid hockey as well. They did lose Zegras to a suspension, but he'll be back playing some good hockey. I'm excited to see that game as well tonight. Again, my predictions are 4-3 for the Montreal Canadiens in overtime over the Buffalo Sabres, and the Anaheim Ducks will win 4-2 with an empty net. That's it for me. That's it for next shift. Suzuki does not suck. Talk to you guys later.